That's just unbelievable. First of all, why are we funding other people's farmers?
Yeah.
And why are we having to tax our farmers to fund other farmers?
Yeah.
Putative. I'm going to have to Google that. I don't know what you're calling me names. Putative. What does that mean?
You can look it up in your own time, Nick.
And told me straight away, hi, my name is da-da-da-da, and I'm bipolar and neurodivergent. And I went, I'm a Sagittarius. Stamer should have said, well, Elon Musk needs to shut his mouth about the UK.
Yeah.
He's an American citizen, billionaire living in a foreign country on a foreign continent. I don't care what he says about the UK. I run this country for the benefit of British people.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 59 of The Mayor and I, with I, Lindsay Khan, and the Mayor, the putative Mayor, Nick Buckley, MBE. Our weekly chat where we talk about...
Putative. I'm going to have to Google that. You're calling me names. Putative. What does that mean?
You can look it up in your own time, Nick. You've distracted me now. Where we chat about events that we've seen during the week and give our views on it, and hopefully some of those chime with you guys. So Nick Buckley, MBE, welcome to episode 59 of The Mayor and I.
Can I start with a little snippet from one of our viewers?
Yes.
One of our viewers.
I've actually got some, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
One of our viewers emailed me. I've spoken to him several times before.
How did they get hold of your email?
This is one I knew before we did the podcast, right, okay. But he's a avid viewer now. He said, Nick, he went, his daughter, early 20s, is a nurse, not a nurse, school teacher, nursery nurse teacher, something like that, has to get the tram to work every day. And 3 times his last couple of months, when the ticket inspectors come on, she does tap with a card, to get on.
Is it like a debit card?
Yeah.
You can use it. I've not been on the Met for ages.
And it hasn't worked. And she presumed it worked. So 3 times now, the last couple of months, she's got like £80 fines.
No.
And she's going, well, I thought it worked. I'm tapping it. How do I know it's not working? No. And he's now put a complaint into the Metro. He's quite willing to go to court. He's sick of it. He goes, he said, it can't just be his daughter.
No.
Other people must be tapping in, tapping out, and it's not registering it. Ticket inspectors come on. So if you're a scumbag, you jump off and run away then.
Yeah.
But she's not a scumbag. She's a nursery school teacher.
And she thinks she's done it as well.
Yeah. And then she gets an £80 fine. He's fuming.
I don't blame him.
If anybody else this is happening to, please comment and let us know, because I might put you in contact with him. Yeah.
Can we do something? Can we write to the GMPT, or whatever it's called?
Let's see what he does with his threat of legal action, stuff like that.
Okay. I've got a couple of things I want to talk to about some of the one viewer, Mint Eastwood. He said your comment about the guy on Hotel Rwanda was incorrect. Sorry, we're starting with a correction at the beginning of the show.
Well, I'm going to have to Google that.
Yes. I should have let you know before that.
Yeah, that could have Googled it.
You with it.
Yeah. And the only reason you picked that one out is because of the assault rifle thing.
I wouldn't be so churlish. I wouldn't be so churlish. Another guy, at Tommy Rocker number 33, and this is just very briefly on this, but we were talking last week about paedophiles, and that there was a particular case of a paedophile who got left, and you made the point, paedophiles are not a threat to this government, so they get let off basically. In fact, you said queer theory, identity politics is all about access to children, basically. In
breaking down barriers between adults and children when it comes to sexuality. That's queer theory.
Yeah. So Tommy Rocker, he'd seen the video and he was commenting on it. He said he follows an account on Twitter that reposts the worst of it. There's a new social media thing called Blue Sky. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
So he said he follows an account on Twitter, if you can bear with me and understand what I'm saying here, that reposts things from Blue Sky that are quite horrific or whatever.
I'm already following it.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
So apparently on Blue Sky, and I don't know how this works because I can't understand why this shouldn't be shut down. People on Blue Sky are now coming out as maps, overtly coming out of maps. So for our gentle viewer, a map is a minority attracted person. It's basically a paedophile.
Minor attracted.
Minor, not minority attracted. Those are left wingers who are attracted to minorities. Minor attracted person, somebody who wants to have sex with children, basically.
They would say somebody who finds children sexually attractive.
Freaking freaks, whatever they are. So, but now apparently it's acceptable on Blue Sky to come in to post on your thing, I'm a map, like it's some sort of...
It's on Twitter. People have done it on Twitter for several years now.
But why are they arrested?
Because saying...
Why don't the cops go around and
saying you're sexually attracted to children is not the same as doing something about it.
So you can say something like... So if you say on Twitter... I think, the mosque should be shut down or bomb the mosque or whatever, the cops turn up.
Yep.
But if you say, I'm attracted to I want to have sex with children, I'm a map, nobody comes round.
No. It's that two-tier thing again. Now, saying you're attracted to children doesn't mean you're going to go out and abuse a child, but
there's a good chance.
That should be enough for the state to say, red flag.
Yeah.
You've not offended yet, and we need to get you help.
Yeah.
So therefore, that should be a referral into adult social services, into a psychiatrist, someone under the NHS. We shouldn't be letting people saying, I'm mentally ill, and my mental illness means I'm attracted to children, and the state goes, don't do anything about it though. It's all a bit late there. We should be getting them the help they need with their mental illness.
There's a guy called Daffron Williams, I think you've probably read about him. He's a former veteran, an army veteran in the UK. He posted on Twitter, civil war is here, it's only racist to those who suck the life out of our culture. A lot of the views that you and I express. Come on guys, time to stand up. And then he posted a series of AI images of knights and, chasing Muslims or whatever. He was sent to prison for 2 years. Just recently. So he is sent to prison for 2 years, Daffron Williams. People on Blue Sky and Twitter are posting saying they are attracted to children and nothing happens to them. There's something fundamentally wrong here, isn't there?
And it's what I said last time and what you just quoted a minute ago. They're no threat to the government.
Yeah.
Paedophiles are no threat to the government. He's a threat by trying to ignite passion in British people, and they would claim that was racially motivated, and he's a threat to the government. The paedophiles are not.
Tommy Rocker also mentioned in his post, this is by the way a response to one of your videos, the LGBTQ plus whatever it is have now added Z to their, have you an idea what that Z stands for?
Up to now it's been included under queer theory, because queer theory breaks down barriers between humans and animals. Anything normal, we want to break it down. So zoo now stands for zoophilia, which is about sex with animals.
Am I living in a parallel universe, Nick, that this stuff is happening? We have people now on social media platforms saying they are paedophiles, effectively, with no repercussions. And we've now got them saying they want to have sex with animals. And, my grandma in Leeds...
I'm waiting for this story, go on.
If she could see this, she's dead now, God bless her, God rest her soul, even though I'm an atheist, she would not believe this, would she?
No.
In the 1980s in Leeds, when she was in her 80s or whatever, to see this would just be unbelievable to her.
Yeah. So the fact we have people having sex with animals and wanting to abuse children has always gone on.
Oh, yes.
What's different now is we've reduced and removed so many social norms, and we've got rid of societal shame, and we've normalised everything, that people now, mentally ill people, are quite happy now stating that they're mentally ill. And some of those people will get rounds of applause for that. Well done coming out that you're sexually attracted to corgis. Well done. And there's an argument to be made if you go down that path. We eat animals, we farm animals, I'm
not worried where this is going.
We kill animals and wear their furs and their leather and stuff like that.
Yes.
We do experiments on animals. Why not fuck them? There's an argument to be made for that. It's wrong argument.
I think it's a crap argument.
But you can see how you can get to that.
Yeah, in fact, it's interesting to watch you before we do this podcast. You're wearing your furs and your leather, and then you take them all off in order to do the podcast. And we go back to, we discussed Dana White in the last episode, didn't we?
Before we come off that topic,
sorry,
you're going to love this.
I'm not finishing,
there's a guy who's worked for the BBC as a presenter on something. He's Australian, but he's done some work for the British BBC.
Missing.
No.
He's really unfunny.
He's just been convicted in Australia of 14 rapes of dogs, and 9 of them died, and he filmed it all.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He used to work for the BBC.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I wish you'd not told me that story now.
But he damaged 9 of them so much they died.
That's even more upsetting. Well, it goes back to that character last week, the raping of the baby.
Yeah.
It's just horrific, isn't it? Was he a well-known presenter?
I'd never heard of him, no. I think he'd done a bit of work presenting at the BBC, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I've forgotten what I was going to actually finish off talking about at that point. Zoophilia. So that I think those are just some points that our viewers have come up with, and please keep the comments coming, guys, because some of this stuff is really very interesting that they put on there. I wanted to talk about. I know what I was going to say. Going back to Dana White in our last episode. Fuck your feelings, be a man. This is an example, isn't it? Stop talking about your feelings. Stop talking about your mental illnesses. Man up. Yeah. Keep your gob shut. Just get on with your life and your work, basically. But we embrace mental illness now. We celebrate mental illness. That's got to stop.
Yeah, we advertise it on all our social media platforms. As in, you look on Twitter, people put in their bio...
neurodivergent,
ADHD, bipolar, and I had a meeting about a year ago, and this woman I didn't know introduced herself and told me straight away, "Hi, my name is da 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 da, and I'm bipolar and neurodivergent." And I went, "I'm a Sagittarius."
Did you?
And she went, "Yeah." I went, "Oh, so I just thought we're telling people shit we don't want to know."
Yeah, but. What exactly? Why are we interested in this stuff?
It's because...
Sorry, I know I'm not interested in this stuff.
I think they do it for 2 reasons. The first reason is you get woke points. So, there's virtue signaling there. The second point is I expect you to treat me differently. And now I am different. So you need to pussyfoot around me. You need to know I've got mental health issues. You need to do all you can to keep me nice and to not upset me and bend over backwards, and don't expect a high delivery or product from me, because I've already told you I'm mentally ill.
Yeah. So what is the correct response for? I mean, your Sagittarius comment is funny, but what would actually be the correct response to these people to put them in their place and back in their boxes, do you think?
I've no idea. I've not given it any thought. I mean...
Because we have to stop this.
We do, but do we do it on an individual level, like that, because she's obviously mentally ill?
How do we stop it? I suspect it's going to stop in America now.
Yeah.
And we discussed last week about Alexandria Cortez, who's removed pronouns from her bio. And apparently she's also asking the people who voted... This is quite interesting. I don't know if you saw this. She's asking the people who voted Republican for Trump to send them the podcasts, to send her the podcasts they watch.
What?
She's trying to understand what she's missed, which is quite interesting, I thought.
I think you're reading far too much into that. I saw a video of her the other day, which has been brand new. She was talking to the press about... I think Trump's already... Oh, no. There's a trans... member of the House of Representatives or the Senate or something, the trans member, first one, and they've been told you can't use the women's bathroom. So she was talking to the news about that, and basically,
basically,
and she was basically saying that it's not a problem and we shouldn't be asking people because are they male or female. She still believes in all that crap. I don't know what she's up to. She's up to something, but she's not really
bright. It's not a problem he's been told to use the men's.
It's not a problem for him to use the women's.
Oh yeah, she still believes all that crap.
She believes all that crap, so I don't she's up to something at the moment. I don't know what she's up to.
I'll talk about Trump in a minute and the trans thing, but there's a restaurant I go to in Chorlton called San Juan, and the toilets there, they have a shared washing area where you wash your hands and stuff, but then it's two booths, one for a man and one for a woman. And I was thinking, actually, I meant to discuss with my wife, but I didn't because I didn't want to get beaten around the head. I was thinking, isn't that rather similar to the way the trans toilets want transies would want their toilets to be?
That's exactly.
But nobody says anything about it there.
But you can't say anything about it because you'd be called transphobic.
No, but what I mean is, it's not been done that way. It's been like that for years. It's not been done that way for transy.
Yeah,
it's just
they had a lack of space.
Yes,
we're trying to fit a toilet in.
Yeah,
and so some people, I've used toilets where it's unisex because of that. If you ever go to GB News, their studio is in Paddington. Their toilet in their studio is like that.
Yeah.
And that's because it was already built like that, and they hired it. And so sometimes people do it for different reasons.
Yes.
It's the forcing.
Oh, I see.
It's the forcing. So women who want to use that toilet, no, it's a mixed toilet. And do you know what? I might not want to use that now because I've been warned.
Yeah.
But when I go into a toilet that's called women only, as a woman, then I don't want to see a man in that.
I see.
So I think...
And actually, to be fair, they've got a women's... Even though there's only two booths, one is a woman's, one is a man. So I suppose, But what you're saying is, when it's a problem is when it's a woman's toilet and there's a bloke in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Labour, what have they been up to this week, Nick?
Saving the world. Saving the world. King Stamer.
So, Elon Musk...
I love Elon.
Elon tweeted, Britain is going full Stalin.
Yeah.
I can't remember what caused him to do that. But, what do you think about...
The farmers.
The farmers.
It was the farmers, because Stamer attacked the farmers in Soviet.
And we're going to talk about the farmers. So, why did he say it, as I say, and what was Stamer's response? I don't know if you would like to enlighten our viewers.
I'm not sure what his response was, but Elon was basically saying, why is Stamer attacking the farmers, the food producers? We talked about last time, Stalin did it in the Soviet Union. He attacked the Ukrainian farmers, which caused 5-6 million to starve to death. They turned to cannibalism. They were selling their children. So Elon was trying to show what happened under Stalin there. What was Keir Starmer's response? Is this why Parliament might be instructing Elon to come to Parliament under a committee to answer questions?
I think that is happening as well, but Starmer's response was a total avoiding of the question and answering a completely different question. It was embarrassing.
But he does that to every question, near enough.
It was shocking. Because the person said, what do you think about Elon Musk saying that, and he didn't even reference Elon Musk. He just said something like, "Well, we've got a lot of work to do," and and it was like, I was just like, how is he getting? Why don't the interviewers say to him, "You're not answering the bloody question, Stamer. Answer the freaking question." But they don't, do they? The media now.
Some do. Stamer now only goes to the weak media.
Yes.
So that's why he's on daytime TV, because those people wouldn't know how to ask a difficult question. Stamer should have said, and I would have respected him for that, Stamer should have said, well, Elon Musk needs to shut his mouth about the UK.
Yeah.
He's an American citizen, a billionaire living in a foreign country on a foreign continent. I don't care what he says about the UK. I run this country for the benefit of British people.
Yeah.
That would have been a wonderful, positive, patriotic answer.
He's not got the brains to do that. He's not got the brains to do that. Who's he going to sell all this land to that he's going to get off a farm? Are you aware of this?
Yes. Well, there's all sorts of rumours. The big multinationals will buy it up.
Yeah.
Because you might not want the land today, but these multinationals are land banking, which is when you buy land and you don't know what you want it. You just buy it because you know it's valuable and will always go up in price. So they'll land bank it. And then if the green agenda keeps going on, they'll put wind farms on it and solar panels, or we'll get the big food producing multinationals who will then knock all these fields together, and we'll have fields that are like 2 miles long, and like America, and they'll just plough the crap out of it.
He mentioned a specific company,
BlackRock.
Yes. And what's really embarrassing about this is shortly after he had a meeting with the chief exec of BlackRock.
Yeah.
It's not, as I say, he's hiding in plain sight now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's meeting these big American corporations, and then within the next breath he's sending out a tweet saying we must invite BlackRock to be involved. After destroying the farmers, he then says BlackRock are going to come and help us out.
He doesn't care. He really doesn't care about his PR. I think he's obviously a clever man.
I'm not sure he is.
No, I think he is. I think his plan is something we've not worked out. I don't think he cares.
He's not worked it out.
I think he's laying the groundwork for the people who come after him. I think he's a true believer. And if he can do all the heavy lifting and doing all the destroying now, and only do one term because they're going to hate me when I finished.
Yeah.
And I know that already. So why do I care about PR? I'm getting all the heavy work done now.
Yeah, and this could be part of the WEF agenda, the global agenda.
It is.
So his masters have said, look, you're not going to be popular. If you do all this stuff, it lays the groundwork for our global agenda.
And then you can sit on the board and we'll pay you 10 billion a year.
And then he can go and work it. And he's going to go to Davos because he's happy in Davos, isn't he? That's where he wants to be. So he can do this for a year, get all the major principles in place, like destroying the farmers, like killing the pensioners, like assisted dying, all that shit in place. Really incredibly high taxes on people who earn money, taking all the assets off people who have assets and have worked their lives for them. You can do all that in the first year, get it all in place, then resign through a scandal or whatever it might be, then he can bugger off to Davos and be hanging around with all his mates, can't he? Is that what you're thinking? I
don't think they're planning on him leaving in a year. I think they want him to do 5 years. They want him to do 5 years of damage because more stuff he can do. But I think he knows he's a one-term prime minister, and he's going to set the ground for socialist utopia. And when he gets kicked out of that, he's got job offers at Davos, World Economic Forum, sit on the board of BlackRock, and the money will pour in. The Prime Minister's not paid a lot. What's he paid? 280,000 a year, which sounds a lot to me.
He can't even afford his own clothes. So
exactly.
He has to buy them for him.
Yeah. He has to go to the food bank and everything. Yeah. No, I think he's doing all the heavy lifting. I think it's far too easy for us and for people to look at people we don't understand and go, they're stupid.
Yeah.
He's not stupid. We're stupid for not being able to understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. He's got a plan.
Maybe. Although that doesn't then, it is very well documented on multiple videos that you've said he'll be gone by Christmas.
I'm running out of time.
Sadiq Khan has invited Donald Trump to London, but what did he invite him to do when he came here?
I don't know, but it must be about he wants business coming to London. It must be a benefit to London. He wants something off Donald Trump. He's
invited him to London to visit a mosque and a Sikh temple, I think.
Right.
That's what he's trying to do. Not a church.
Yeah.
Not a church. He's invited him to London. I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek.
This is tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
He's an imbecile, Sadiq Khan. But he's invited him to come and visit a mosque with him in London.
See, I thought...
Why the frick would Donald Trump want to come to London and visit a mosque?
No, he wouldn't.
With that poison dwarf?
I thought this was going to be...
I don't know the detail about
him... The Mayor of London wanting something off Donald Trump, like a big investment, or there's a company that's looking at London potentially being the hub of something. I thought he was I thought he was swallowing his pride a little bit to do something good for London, to get an investment.
Talking about Sadiq Khan.
And yeah, he's let me down again. He'll still be here at Christmas.
Well, he's never going to be voted out, is he? They should make mayors a one-term thing, shouldn't they? I'll just quickly jump back to Trump, because something I read before I came out here, I don't know if you read it, is Trump is moving fast, and he's actually already said that he's going to kick all the trans people out of the army.
And this,
which is fantastic, I think.
It is.
I know you're pro-trans, so
but it is for the individuals themselves, because what he's going to do and what he's going to dismiss them on the grounds of mental health. He's going to say going to say to them, "You're obviously all mentally ill."
Yes.
Being in the army and being mentally ill, you're getting no benefit out of this, because at the moment we're validating your mental health illness.
Yeah.
When you've got somebody who thinks of Napoleon and you treat him as Napoleon, you make their issue worse, because then they believe more they're Napoleon. That's what we're doing with men who think they're women, because we treat them like women. It increases their delusion. It makes them sicker. So that's how he's going to get round this and sack them all for being mentally ill.
Yeah.
That is going to send the message around America and the Western world, a message that I don't think we can comprehend how big that message is going to be.
In terms of this is all nonsense.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and just attacking the woke agenda.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he's already said it. And apparently the last time he went in, he stopped trans people being employed by the army, but didn't do anything about the people who are in there.
Yeah.
This time he's obviously thinking, I'm not wasting time now. I'm getting rid of them.
Well, he's a bit like Stamer this time round. He knows he's got one term.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's real parallels there.
He's doing all the heavy lifting. I can't run again.
Yeah.
I don't care how much the establishment and the elite hate me. I'm going to do everything I should have done 8 years ago.
But he can be vice president next time. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember who told me that, but somebody told me that.
That would need looking into, because the vice president would become president if the president dies.
Yes.
And you can't be... Yeah, this American...
I'm sure some greater legal brains than ours will be looking at it.
Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't want to be a vice president. I think he's training someone up.
No, but think about the ticket. The ticket is Vance.
Yeah.
Well, the ticket would be Vance for president.
Yeah.
Trump for vice president, RFK, Musk, all these characters. So it'd be another fantastic ticket, a super ticket, wouldn't it? Basically. So, I only heard that the other day. I thought that's a really interesting idea. He can't be president again, but he can be vice president. So just moving on with the Labour Party, I skipped away to get... There's something I read that really did piss me off, and I want to talk about it. We're taxing the farmers now, and they think they're going to raise about 520 million quid from the farmers. But it's since been revealed that we are sending farmers abroad 516 million pounds a year.
Exactly. We're taxing our farmers to pay farmers in foreign continents.
I mean, that's
just unbelievable. First of all, why are we funding other people's farmers?
Yeah.
And why are we having to tax our farmers to fund other farmers?
Yeah. It's just... I think that's a national disgrace, that.
Every time we have these conversations and you come up with something like that, it makes me go, don't our politicians want to spend our money in our country?
Yeah.
They tax the hell out of us and just seem to have this aim of giving all our money away to other people.
Yeah. No, I did some research on this, and by the way, chat for your benefit, but also for our listeners, ChatGPT is really good for this information now.
Right.
Extracting information. So I used to spend quite a lot of time researching, but ChatGPT goes to about 10 websites, does all the research and gets the information for you. So what I found out is that I thought the figure was about 1.5 billion, but it's more. We spend 2.4 billion a year on UK farming, supporting UK farming, and mainly subsidies and things like that, which is great. I think that's great, we're subsidising our own farmers. But the amount of money we spend abroad every year and I've put here on various shit, including Ukraine, is 23 billion.
Yeah.
So we spend 2 billion on our farmers, but send 23 billion pounds abroad every year for farmers, for Ukraine, for UN, World Health Organization. I mean, it's a scandalous amount of money. What could that money do for the people in this country?
I think it's more than that.
Really?
It must be more than that. We've got to a stage where we import people and export our taxes.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm going to talk about the ICC in a minute as well in relation to Stamer and the Semitism. But the COP29, this current COP29 thing. So apparently the poorer nations nearly stormed out of this. This is all related. This is all interlinked because it's about money leaving our country and going to other countries. We are currently spending with them. The rich nations are currently giving them 100 billion a year, of which presumably some of that 20 billion of ours is in there. The reason they stormed out is because they wanted 450 billion a year by the year 2035. The COP29 have agreed to go to 300 billion. And it's like, no, we're not going to give 400 billion, but we'll give you 300 billion. Like they're doing us all a favour. Like we're hard negotiators, we've got them down. So you've got these grubby countries demanding money from the rich nations. And of course, these guys, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do that? I mean, it's no different to when you're on the beaches in Spain and the Algerian guys come along and try and hustle you for some money or whatever. These guys are good at hustling money out of people because they have to do it to survive, don't they? So these poorer nations are demanding money from the rich nations, including ours. And the rich nations have agreed to give 300 billion a year by the year 2035. 3 times what they're giving at the moment. And we'll be giving our share of that. In the meantime, we're taxing our farmers. We're not heating our pensioners. It's scandalous. Now, the only light on the horizon is Trump has signalled he is going to withdraw the US from all this shit.
He will do. He did it last time. He pulled out of the Paris Climate Accords last time, so he'll do it all again. So, what we need to understand are these countries are beggars. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. They're beggars.
Although it is very disrespectful.
But we're keeping them as beggars. It's a bit like the person sat on the street corner begging. We think we're doing these countries a favour by giving them money, by giving them foreign aid, all these things. But all these things we do damage those countries even more. So we've turned their best people in the country, the ones who run their country, they know they're beggars. That sends a message then to everybody else in their country that we're not as good as the West. So we're all beggars as well. We've got evidence of, all our old clothes that are in good condition that we then ship to Africa and we dump them there thinking we're doing good. That destroys their homemade textile industries. They all go out of business because suddenly no one's buying their locally made jumpers and coats because we've just dumped a load of second-hand stuff in the market, so no one buys it. They all go out of business. They lose that trade. They lose those skills. They lose that part of their culture. So now they're all dressed like poor Westerners instead of wearing their traditional dress. We do it so many ways. We keep destroying the third world because we think we're helping them, and that's exactly what we do with beggars on the street. We give them some money, they buy drugs and alcohol, we give them a sandwich, that stops them getting help that day at one of the centres, and we enable them to sit on the streets and beg. And that's what all this money does to the third world. We enable them to just survive by being beggars, and there's no self-respect in that at all. And we wonder why they don't build up their own infrastructure, why they don't build these businesses and their own industries, because they're too reliant on being a beggar. If we wanted to help these countries, what we need to do is trade with them. And what we say is, right, you're a cocoa producer, so we'll buy processed cocoa off you. At the moment, EU rules says to African countries who grow cocoa beans that we'll buy the beans off you, but if you process the cocoa beans, there's a 400% tariff on it. We should say, remove the tariffs, we'll buy the cocoa beans processed off you.
Why is there a tariff if they process them?
But because we've got companies who process cocoa in Europe. So we just keep them down all the time. But to make us feel better, we throw them some coins.
And what we're doing is enabling them not to progress, basically. You also have to question, of this 100 billion that's currently going, of which we're paying 10 billion or whatever, how much of that actually gets to the places it's meant to get to?
Nearly all of it, because it all goes to Swiss bank accounts. So Mr. Mugabe or Mr. Shah, whoever these people are running the country, they take a big share of it. It all goes to Swiss bank accounts. The fraud is endemic.
And that's the point. So we're giving all this money, they're arguing about it, and then it arrives in the country, and it's just hoovered up by all sorts of corrupt individuals, isn't it? And probably will not get. So that 500 million that was supposedly sent to helping African farmers for God knows what reason, how many of the African farmers get it? You know?
Hardly any of them.
Yeah, and it's like you said, you're not a fan of Band-Aid, are you? Basically,
no,
because most of the money didn't go anywhere near the people that needed it. In that,
it's all siphoned off with backhanders, with fraud, with corrupt officials, with some of this money funds wars with their neighbours. We need to pull out of the third world, and we need to trade with them on an equal, fair footing, and they will grow. But treating them as pathetic beggars does them no good whatsoever.
I agree. So returning to the farmers, we now know the money we're taxing is being given to foreign farmers instead, which is great. There was a march in London, which was, I think there were tens of thousands of people there, if not hundreds of thousands. An unlikely hero has emerged in all this, Mr. Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
And there has, you and I have often talk, is when is somebody going to emerge to lead the valiant fight? And and quite a few articles have been saying Jeremy Clarkson for PM. Is Jeremy Clarkson our unlikely saviour?
No. I think
that was a short conversation.
I think it's part of the answer when it comes to the farmers. But no, I don't think he's not. I don't think he's going to step into politics.
He had a massive follow. He was the most listened to person there out of everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of MPs there. I think Priti Patel was there. I think the new leader of the Conservative Party, I can't remember what her name is.
Kemi Badenoch.
Kemi Badenoch was there.
Yeah. Nigel Farage was not allowed to talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wanted to give a speech, they won't allow him.
Why?
I'm not sure who organised this and why they wouldn't allow him, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That's interesting. So, yeah, I think my point on that is that he is an incredibly. I agree. He's not a politician.
I think he's got a big part to play, I hope his part becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. But he's not a politician. He's not going to stand for office.
Yeah, and I think he will be a support character to the person who ultimately succeeds in this role, because I think he's a good. He's like Joe Rogan. He's a very popular character. People listen to him. So I think. But I'm really pleased that he's involved in this fight. We were talking about giving money to these organisations, and I know you're a big fan of donating to charities, Nick. But I wanted to ask you a question. Will you be donating to children in need this year, as you normally do? And if not, why not?
Children in need. No one should be supporting children in need. It's a complete woke organisation. It has been for a long time. They've just been on. There's calls now for the chair or the chief exec of Children in Need to resign or be fired because they've been funding LGBT charities that are very dodgy.
Yes. But again, we're going back to maps and child abuse.
Exactly.
And all that stuff.
I've got some relationships with Children in Need, so I've had several grants off him for I used to run my charity. The last grant,
which made sense because your charity was looking after children on the street.
Exactly. We got money off him.
Good.
And then the last year we got money from, we got a 3-year grant, and that was just before I got cancelled. So it would have been the end of 2019. I got cancelled 6 months later. So I got 3 years money. Fantastic. At the end of every year, you've got to do a review for them to give you the next year's money. Absolutely fine. So
even within the 3 years, so you don't necessarily get every year guaranteed unless you do a review.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which makes sense because you could be wasting it all, and they want to make sure their money's spent where it should be spent. I ain't got a problem with that. But my first review, I'd been through turmoil. So international news. Sacked from the charity. I made the board resign. I got my job back. I was called a Nazi, a racist, and it's like, hi Mr. Buckley, we'd like to do our review because we've seen what's happened in the press.
Oh, they knew about it.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, so I explained everything's fine now, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we still would like to do a very in-depth review this time. We'd like to have a Zoom meeting with the new board of the charity. So we did that. That was all fine. But I kept getting the impression they wanted more. and they wouldn't say what they wanted. So yeah, that was fine. And in the end, they basically said to me, "We want you, Nick Buckley, to go on BLM training."
What?
Yeah. We want you to go on a training course because we don't like what you said and you don't understand white privilege and this, And I went,
Bastard.
So I said, do you know what? You can take the 2-year grant left and you can shove it up your arse. That's what I said. You can shove it up your arse. I said, because you've got a hidden agenda here with me. I'm not going to play these games. You can shove the grant up your arse.
What did they say?
They didn't say anything. That was the end of the conversation.
Bastards.
Yep, so we didn't get the last 2 years of the grants.
But they knew what you'd done and they knew why you'd done it, and you stand and then what happened.
And it all been resolved. It's not like this was in the middle of it where we're not sure where... This has all been resolved.
Yeah. And it had been recognised as cancel culture what had happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were effectively the victim and the hero in this.
Yeah.
And despite that, they then wanted you to go and be a BLM training course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just shocking. But then, again, we find out that they're giving... I mean, it's 460,000 quid, by the way.
Nearly £500,000, yeah.
£500,000. So when people are giving money to children in need, they think they see pictures of little kids starving. They think that's where... But it's going to LGBT organisations.
Yeah. It's also going to fund her £250,000 wage. They employ hundreds of staff. They get free accommodation, office accommodation within the BBC. So taxpayers are also paying for them as well. Yeah, BBC host them for free.
We need to do a special on children in need. This is outrageous.
So I say to Peter, I've been saying it before I fell out with children in need, stop giving money to the big charities. Stop giving money to Comic Relief. Stop giving money to children in need. Stop giving money to Oxfam. Stop giving money to Save the Children, all these big ones, because most of your money is wasted and they're all woke organisations. If you want to support a charity, which you should do, I want you to support charities because some charities do amazing work. Decide what's important for you. Is it animals? Is it young people? Is it unemployment? What is it? And then find a small local charity near you, because they will use that money a lot better than the big organisations do. So what Children in Need will do is they collect all the money in, they've got hundreds of staff, and then they decide who they're going to give it to. So cut out the middle people and just give it to the causes you want to give it to, and you'll save millions of pounds on all the wages and all the bureaucracy and all the form filling. Give it direct to the small charity you wanted to give it to. So fund a local youth club, fund a local homeless shelter, and set up a direct debit. £2 a month means nothing, but a regular £2 a month helps these small charities because they know it's coming in all the time.
I think it's good advice. But I think the reality for our viewers is if you're sponsoring for children in need or getting involved, they are giving £500,000 to LGBT groups that are linked to child abuse scandals. Yeah. That's what they're doing. That's the reality of what's going on with that money. So I would recommend do not give any money to Children in Need this year. I don't know when it's on, by the way. Is that Lenny Henry, by the way?
No, that's Comic Relief.
Oh, right, okay.
Children in Need. It's on the BBC. That's the one with Pugsy the bear.
Yeah, it's just... it's BBC again, isn't it?
Yeah, stop giving money to these big charities. It's a lot of it's wasted.
I wanted to talk about... I think you and I love Britain or have loved Britain. I'm not so sure now. I am actually reflecting on maybe living abroad as I'm getting older. I know it's a cop-out, and I know what you're saying about... But I had a week last week that I want to talk about because I've done a lot. I know you've done a lot of travelling. I've done a lot of travelling as well. And 2 years ago I was travelling across Africa and I went to Nigeria as well. And I was forcibly reminded last week that I think we're now living in a third world country, like
it's getting there,
like Nigeria. And I was interested in your views, but I'll start off first with the trip I took on a train to Cardiff. So I had a meeting in Cardiff. It's a 4-hour drive to get down there. I thought I'll take the train. It's 3 hours on the train. Fantastic. Got a nice seat. Paid for a certain class of seat. The train arrived on time. Within 10 minutes we were 10 minutes delayed. Within 20 minutes we were 20 minutes delayed. First of all, it was the points on the thing. Next minute the lights went out and they had to stop and take on an engineer. Next minute, first class service was cancelled because somebody hadn't turned up to do the service. And I was, what should have been a relaxing 3-hour journey turned into be a very unrelaxed, because I had an appointment with the end to make to get. I had to drive an hour when I got there till somebody was picking me up to get there as well. And I just thought, this is the stuff I've experienced when I've been travelling in third world countries before. This behaviour. And what staggered me even more was a complete lack of interest of the train staff on the fact they were doing this to us, their paying customers, basically.
And that's because this is normal.
Yeah.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not a shock to them.
Yeah. I mean, I started berating the train guard because I knew that if I didn't want to berate, I knew he was effectively useless. But I knew that if I didn't berate him, if they would use any other excuse to stop somewhere else, basically. And I found out at the end that had worked, because he said actually they hadn't got all the lights on, all the warning lights were still on, but they carried on going because they knew I needed to get to this thing. But he said if we'd stopped to do that, that would take added another 20 minutes to the journey, and I would have definitely been late which was with an important customer for the business as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of, and I just thought, you know, we imagine in Nigeria it was like that. In India, which I went to for a long time ago, in India you got the impression of what was once a great country with the trains, the infrastructure's there, but nothing works. But nothing was working, and they were in India. They were trying. I don't know if it's the same now. Trying to cling on to the way it all worked when the British were there, and it's like the British have gone from this country. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you get that feeling now?
I remember being in Egypt, travelling around, and someone said to me something once in Egypt, and I forgot. He said, in Egypt, the only things that are still standing, the Pharaohs built them or the British built them. When we build anything, it falls down.
Yeah.
And that's because in those days, we were somebody. We built things to last like the Pharaohs did. Our country now has no maintenance. A lot of the DEI hires ruin everything. It's everything. The infrastructure is falling apart, just like everything else has been falling apart. The NHS doesn't work, councils don't work, but the infrastructure has taken slightly longer to fail because it takes years to crumble away. Yeah. But it's all crumbling away now. Is.
And it is. I didn't think about it until we've just spoken now. It's like the British have gone. It's like the British were here, they built the infrastructure for us, and like in India, they've gone.
They've gone, and now it just crumbles away.
And now we
hark back to a time when it all worked perfectly.
Yeah, when the British, and it's all the people who made the difference. As you said, they've been replaced by DEI, whatever it might be, and we have this massive bureaucracy that is totally ineffective.
Yeah.
And on Sunday we were driving down the M56, and this is staggering for me to report. The cars were all jamming up, and we were coming to a bridge in the M56, just by Manchester Airport it was.
Yeah.
And there was a cable hanging down. A cable had come down off the bridge. It was hanging down across, so the cars were having to drive across the cable in the centre, and the outside lanes, so they were all getting into the centre, and the cable was hanging down. It literally wasn't clearly obviously secured properly. It had fallen down onto the road and people were trying to drive over it.
I'd be scared of thinking how much voltage
is
in this.
As I explained to my wife, and I'll explain to you as well, Nick.
The rubber tyres, you would have done. I know that.
Cars are in there, so nothing to worry about. But it's a good job. You probably would have put your hazards on and stopped because through sheer ignorance. But it's fine.
I just explained that I knew the tyres wouldn't earth us to the.
But that reminded me of Thailand. Because everywhere you go in Thailand, there's cables hanging down, cables running out. You've been to Thailand, and I thought it's like being in. So over that last week, I had a number of indicators that made me realise I'm not seeing this country as it is now. It is now like a third world country.
And now you've opened your eyes to that, you'll see a lot more.
Yeah. We're seeing it with the potholes. The potholes are an example. In Nigeria, the potholes are the size of a car now. So, and what happens is the cars go over drive through the lane to avoid massive. I mean, I'm talking. If you went in the hole, you wouldn't get out of it. But it's happening here.
Yeah. And that's because all the infrastructure here is run by and maintained by the state.
Yeah.
And the state is incompetent.
Yeah.
And the state over decades now have taken money out of maintenance, because that'll be a problem 20 years from now.
Yeah.
I'll take the money out of that because I want to spend it on canoeing sessions for lesbians or something.
Yeah.
So they'll spend the money on what they want to spend on. They ignored all that, but it's all catching up. Plus the fact that none of our services work anymore. So, and you can't fire anybody who work for the public sector.
Correct.
So you're incompetent. It's a job for life. We've got DEI hires. We've got so many foreigners working for the public state now. Well, how good job are they going to do? Have you seen their countries?
Yeah.
So we just keep employing the wrong people and don't hold anyone accountable.
The one other thing I want to talk about, and I think part of the problem is the people who are here now, because they are, I think, totally captured. I've noticed it now on driving, and you and I talked about this joking the other day when your wife was driving, but I've noticed lots of people that are doing now, slowing down when the lights are green. They are petrified. They are so institutionalized, so captured. They are petrified to break the law in any way, shape or form. They conform without failure now. This is men and women drivers, basically. Everybody's driving slowly. They're tolerating massive traffic jams all the time. They don't seem to complain or be angry when these horrific things are. And I think this is, again, the brainwashing of the people. Yeah. They are now so subservient to the state through all sorts of reasons, including what's happened to all these characters in there, that they are scared to kind of do anything or show any kind of rebellion, even slamming the brakes on when the lights are on green before a light. And
that's why we're in this mess, because we've lived in a socialist state now since the Second World War. Hiccup when Thatcher took over, but apart from that, it's all been a socialist state, and the socialist state makes you dependent on the state. So we're dependent on the state for everything. We don't question the state, we don't rebel against the state, and all our problems will be fixed by the state. If they're not, complain about the state. Nobody wants to fix anything themselves or do anything about it. We'll just accept what happens by the state.
And like any good socialist, what's your terminology for what's happening to us now? The global socialist agenda. The acceleration towards the Jews, destruction of the Jews continues, doesn't it? So Berlin's police chief has now, and this is again staggering stuff, and the fact it's not major headlines that staggers me. Berlin's police chief has warned Jews and gays that in certain areas of Berlin they have to hide their identity.
Yeah. Shocking. But that's in many cities across Europe, in this country as well.
Yeah.
So Europe's had many problems with the persecution of the Jews for many reasons, which we won't get into. But we ended that. We ended that in the 50s.
Yeah.
We ended that. But what did we do? We imported the problem again. So we've imported it because of the state of Israel and all the migrants we've imported who happen to be Muslim. And there's many reasons why they dislike Israel. Again, that's a different discussion for a different day. But this is the problem of anti-Semitism in the West and the UK that we didn't need to have. We've had this problem previously, we solved it. But we've got the problem again now because we've imported it, like I said before, because we imported female genital mutilation, honour killings, acid attacks, knife crime, machete attacks. We've had problems like this before, but we solved them. And then we opened our doors and we imported them all in again, as if we didn't have any other problems to solve.
And our glorious leader, Mr. Stamer, is managing to endorse this behaviour around Jews. So the ICC, which is the International Crime Commission, I think, I don't know where it's based or what it is, but it's an international legal organisation, has issued an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
You're aware of this? For crimes against humanity. And Keir Starmer has backed it.
Has he?
Yes.
Right.
So he said he supports the ICC in their decision. They then went to talk to Yvette Cooper, I'm guessing this is the media, God knows what the media is, who refused to say if Benjamin Netanyahu would be arrested if he arrived in the UK. Now, you described this when you and I exchanged on this as sixth form politics. But what we're saying here, which is really fundamental, the leader of a Western democratic society, which is Israel, there's an external non-national organisation, an institution similar to the WEF or whatever, that's issued an arrest warrant for him, and our Prime Minister is backing that.
Yep. And did you know that Keir Starmer's wife's Jewish?
Yes.
And his 2 kids are Jewish?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, and the reason why Yvette Cooper won't answer that question, because she knows they wouldn't arrest.
Well, why did she say no, we won't arrest him then?
Because there'd be civil war in her party. This is all about keeping their party together. And trying not to alienate the Muslim vote, because they heavily need the Muslim vote, which they started losing over this. And they've got lots of radicals in the Labour Party sat on their benches behind them. So this is all about trying to muggle the way through this. We're not going to say we're not going to arrest him, but we know we're not going to arrest him. This is just them trying to find the middle road.
But this guy, this party, they seem to respect every non-British institution going, don't they?
Yep.
He's travelling around the world, visiting every institution, agreeing with every institution, going to COP29, going to the World Health Organization, going to the United Nations. He doesn't seem to respect any of our institutions, does he? That's
because he's a globalist. He's a global communist. He wants the world to be under one government and be a communist world government. Hence why he wants all these international agencies, because they're all run by communists and they're all heading to the same place. That's why when he was asked, do you want to be in Parliament or in Davos, he said Davos, because he knows that's where he can rule the world as opposed to Justice Island. So everything's pointing to an international world communist state. That's what these people are aiming for.
We've talked about manageriality and gaslighting, and there's quite a few examples in the last couple of weeks. I made some notes on them. I want to just talk you through them. There was an example of a guy called Cal Shearer, a young man ostracised by fellow undergraduates, and then he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And as far as I understand it, all this guy did was have sex with a girl, and then afterwards she said, I'm not sure I wanted to have sex.
Yeah.
And as a result, he was ostracised by his fellow, and then went on to kill himself.
Yeah.
Now, forgive me if I'm seeming cold-hearted here, or I don't think anything horrific happened in that situation, or not enough for a man like that to commit suicide.
In the universities now, if a woman has sex and then regrets it the next day, that's obviously she was coerced into that, so it was a type of rape. That's what many universities actually think now. The interactions between men and women are, if a woman changes her mind the next day or days later, then it's rape, because you must have coerced her to do that in the first place for her to change her mind.
So he was hounded into killing himself by a bunch of woke undergraduates who decided to believe her story, her side of the argument, with no evidence or whatever, and as a result then killed himself.
30 years ago the answer would have been, you're a bit of a tart, you aren't you, love? That would have been the answer 30 years ago. You slept with him on the first night and now you've got, you're a bit of a tart. That's why we had those social norms and that societal shame. It was to keep, in those circumstances, women under control. For them not to be tarts and sleep around. Where now, women can be tarts, but they're also victims. So if an adult woman now, a clever university graduate woman, has sex and then regrets it, then it can't be her fault. It must be someone else's fault. So it has to be the guy's fault. There's a case in America where university students, a boy and a girl, both get drunk, have sex, and next day she claims rape, and it's proven guilty. He's guilty because she was drunk. He was also drunk.
He was drunk,
But both drunk, and because a woman who's drunk cannot consent, so he gets punished. Feminism wanted responsibility and wanted equal rights. So therefore, you should take on the consequences of the actions and decisions you make. But then feminists went, I don't like the sound of that. That means I'm responsible for stuff. That means I can get blamed. No. Let's twist this so no matter what happens, we can blame the men.
But I think that's tragic, because this young man has died as a result of this, hasn't he?
He has.
I mean, I suspect he may have not had a may have not had a strong personality, or maybe
he was autistic.
Or was he?
He was also autistic.
Yeah.
Now, if I go back to my teens and early 20s, you're looking.
I'm worried that's what story we're going to hear.
No,
Nick.
When you're trying to, meet a woman, you're trying to have sexual relationships and stuff like that, you don't know what you're doing, it's uncomfortable, you're trying to do small talk, you're buying them a drink, you're trying to hook up, and all the pressure's on men. So the men have to do all this.
Yeah.
The women just stand there and they go yes or no, and next guy will then she has a choice. Men don't have a choice.
Correct.
It's very difficult. And you're trying to learn this as you're going through your teens and your 20s. Mistakes will happen. Men will be clumsy. Men will... I've said lots of things that I look back and go, Jesus, I shouldn't have said that. But that's how we learn. But men are under so much pressure now of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, that they can be persecuted. So you're chatting to a girl at a bar and you touch her shoulder. You can get in trouble for that now. That's assault, sexual assault. There's all sort of things you can't do now that we would have...
You can't touch a girl's shoulder in a nightclub when you're having a drink.
You can be accused of assault if she didn't want you to.
Really?
Sexual assault, yeah. It's a nightmare now for men. And women wonder why they're not being approached by men anymore. Women wonder why they're not being chatted up anymore. Because a lot of men are scared stiff.
Yeah. And do you think that's part of the reason why there are kind of less children being born, less relationships, why quite a few men and women find that they're not getting partners as they get older?
It all contributes.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, most of the people I knew who met their partners met them through work.
Yes.
You don't date someone at work anymore now. You lose your job over it.
Yeah.
So there's the big chunk of how you'd have met someone.
That is a real shame, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we'd meet people in clubs and nightclubs, but people are going out less. Now it's all online. So
the majority of relationships now start online.
Exactly.
It's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
It used to be, as you say, it used to be friends.
Yeah.
Then work took over, but now like 80% is online.
Yeah. And women wonder why they're being used and abused online, because a small percentage of men who have got the looks, who have got a good job, are being matched with all the women online.
Yes.
So all the women, that's why women now say all men are pigs. All men aren't pigs. You're just dating all the same men. So 20% of men are dating 80-90% of the women.
Yeah.
So they're kids in a candy shop. All the women want them.
Was it? Did you and I discuss this the other week?
It was a private conversation we had.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't on here.
We're not allowed to have that conversation.
We can do, just don't name anybody.
I don't think you named anybody.
No. We had a private conversation.
No, we did. We had a private conversation.
We didn't have it on the podcast.
But what you said, what you said was really interesting. The good-looking guys get all the women, and a lot of them choose to go with as many women as they can.
Why wouldn't you? Including
some, with the greatest of respect to our listeners, including some of the less attractive women. Yeah. So what you said is the less attractive women then start to believe they can snag the alphas, the tens, basically. And as a result, they start turning down the betas.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a really interesting idea. So they start to assume they can do, again, trying to do they can do better.
They have an overinflated value of themselves. Because
at one point they've had sex.
Because these couple of guys who were tens had great jobs and were fantastic and everyone, because they came out to my flat and slept with me, then I must be the type of women they like. They didn't take me out. They didn't date me. They didn't take me for a meal. They came out on a Saturday night with a bottle of wine. We watched a movie and they slept with me. And they think no, you were used. No, the Americans called it a booty call, where you have certain women you don't take out, you don't want to be seen with them, you just call down and sleep with them because it's better than your hand.
I think we're going to lose half our audience.
Yeah, but the women out there need to know that. And then what those women...
Where have you heard this, or have you read this somewhere?
Well, part of it's experience. So I've been single most of my life. I've dated hundreds of women and been out. So
so you're in the second category of the not so good looking men who can't pick up a woman because the alphas have been going there.
Well, I was lucky because there was no internet then, and I've got an amazing personality. So I got if I base it just on looks, I'd have struggled. So lots of women are rejecting men they should be picking.
But normally they would be,
because they think they're better than they are, and they're still waiting for an amazing guy to come because they've had an amazing man before. And so women now are getting pickier and pickier, and women have always been picky, rightly so, because women invest a lot more in getting married and having children, and they put themselves at risk more. So I get that. And there's many men out there who'd make wonderful husbands and wonderful fathers who don't get to meet any women anymore now, and those men are invisible. And that's why we've got more and more single men, and more single women. And the women will tell you, where are all the men? Don't get to meet any men.
You're just ignoring them.
You just don't see them because they don't hit your value. So therefore, subconsciously, you don't even see those men anymore.
I saw a tear forming in your eye there when you were talking about the invisible men, Nick, and my thoughts are kind of with you. What was I going to say? I was going to make a point then, but I can't remember what it was.
That's what you get for trying to be funny. Emphasis the word try.
How did we even start talking about this? I can't remember. Oh yes, I know what I was going to say. So the day after you and I had that conversation, that evening, I had friends round. And I was talking to a couple, and we were chatting, and I think I related this conversation to them. And he said, my friend Jeremy, whatever his name is, not Jeremy, whatever his name was, my friend Jeremy. I said, yeah. He said, he went on and he got he had sex with loads of women. But I know this guy, Jeremy, and he's not a good-looking guy. So how is he having sex with all these women then?
What does he do for a living?
Some engineer or something.
So all women like.
But I don't understand why the women are doing that. He's certainly not the alpha you were talking about there. This guy, I can guarantee that.
Well, it all depends.
So why are the women having sex with him?
Because he's got something they want. So women make judgments on looks, on status, on personality, on income. So all depends what he's hitting on that. It's hard to describe because we don't know. I don't know this man, but men make most of their judgment initially on looks.
Yes.
But women, looks is important, but not as important as some of the others.
What happened to the good old? So I'm assuming, and I don't know, Nick. Obviously, you have more experience than I on this. When you go on these things and you swipe right or swipe left or whatever, you find a woman and you say, "Oh, hello, Mrs. It would be nice to go out for a drink with you or whatever." You go out and you have a drink with them first or a coffee. Have a nice time, and then you say, "Oh, why don't we do this again next week?" Next week, you then go out and have a meal.
Doesn't work like that.
Does it not work like that anymore? But what happened to good old-fashioned courting?
So courting is dead.
That has got to be the headline of one.
Courting has been dead for decades.
That's got to be the headline of one of your videos.
The last 10 years, dating is dead. No one dates anymore now.
What?
Yeah, it's one of the big complaints from women that. Yeah, I've got a boyfriend, but we don't date, we don't go out anywhere, or I've got a couple of boyfriends. So, dating's dead to a certain extent as well.
I don't believe that. I know men, and lots of young men, and surely they have... Isn't it the normal, you go out, have a drink, have a meal, you get to know each other, and then maybe after 6 months you may possibly have sex at that point?
No. I'm sure there's men, and I'm sure that still happens every now and again.
What happened to decorum?
But... we live in a hedonistic society now, so the average date now is swipe left. Hi, you alright? Yeah, I'm alright. Where do you live? I live there. What are you doing now? Nothing. So I come round, bring a bottle of wine. Yeah, okay. Right, see in half an hour. Drink the bottle of wine, have sex. Yeah, bye-bye. And next weekend, I fancy sex again. Do you know what? Oh, hello, anyone out there? That's quite a lot of the sexual intercourse now.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. And how you know this? How? Just from reading or
reading, research, lots of videos online about it. At one point, I was thinking of writing a book on it.
I think that's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy, and it contributes to lots of issues. Women are depressed. Women. A lot of this comes down to feminism. Feminism convinced women you could be like a man and still be a woman. There's lots of evidence now from social scientists that if a woman has more than 5 sexual partners, she then struggles to pair bond with her long-term partner, because the more sex she has with different people, the more it damages her emotionally and psychologically inside. It doesn't damage men, but it damages women. I used to go into schools and do some projects with girls and boys. We would split into girls and boys, and to make them understand. So I had a cheap little plastic trumpet, and I had a little jewellery box that was wrapped in a lovely paper, and we'd do something with the boy. So we'd be chatting to the boys about sex education, and I'd give a boy the trumpet, and like boys do, we'd start blowing it and laughing, and I'm saying, I'll just stop blowing it, and pass it along, and all blowing it, and they'll go, right.
You wanted them to blow it?
Yes. And then I'll say, do you know why I brought that trumpet in here? No. Right. Do you know where I store that trumpet? No. Store it in my cellar. I don't wrap up, I just put it on the floor in the cellar. And every one of you has had it in your mouth now, blowing it. You're all thinking it's funny, and none of you know the diseases on that, where it's stored. You've all got those germs, and you've all gone, and I'm going, and that's what happens when you're having sex with women you don't know. Oh. Then the next class with the girls, I get the jewellery box out, wrapped beautifully, and we give it a girl, and she looks at it and passes it around, and they all start seeing what's inside it, and start ripping the paper, and then by the time you get it back, it's not wrapped up nicely anymore now. And I say to one of the girls, unwrap that, and they'd unwrap it, and they'd go, yeah, it's a jewellery box. I said, well, that jewellery box is you, and the more you passed around, the more you ripped open, the more people prod at you, and your beauty's gone. Open a jewellery box. There's a poem then about self-respect I'd get one of the girls to read out. Boys and girls are different, men and women are different. We have different drives, different ambitions, different things affect us inside. So I created 2 different classes to make sure young people would treat having sex with the respect it deserved. It wasn't something, I didn't tell them not to have sex. It was about, you need to understand what you're doing when you're doing it and how it can affect you. Boys, it's all about catching diseases. Girls, it's damaging you every time you ripped and damaged a little bit more.
That sounds like one of the shittest lessons I've ever. I can imagine what I would have said after that lesson. Yeah. Sorry, Nick. That was very unkind of me. But just picking up on that point about being ripped apart, damaged, or whatever. I have a friend who's a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm not. I'm not. Well, I'm a Christian, as you know, an atheist Christian, as you know. But what I have noticed about that society, and it's got some weird stuff in it, JW, as you know, but they don't seem to have any problem getting partners within the church. They always seem to find somebody, and obviously they know that person has that, and they encourage marrying within the church, and they always seem to get, so all the people there seem to have partners.
A little bit like Pakistani cousin marriages. Yes. It's because it's from the group.
Yes.
So their Jehovah's Witnesses group may not be related with each other, but they're all together because of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Correct.
Where the Pakistani community, their tribe is around their heritage, their tribe.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing though. We are more likely to want to pick partners out of our group.
Yeah.
Hence why we had to, as humans, develop an aversion to incest.
Yeah.
Because deep down inside, our siblings, we would be attracted to them because they look like us, they act like us, they smell like us, but then we've had to introduce something, a social, it's inbuilt in us, the revulsion around incest.
Yeah.
We had to develop that to compensate of wanting to marry too close in the group.
Because you mess up with it. So I think what I'm saying though, isn't that, going back to Christianity again, isn't a Christian society where people have a community knit around the church or whatever, better for relationships in terms of getting people to have relationships, at the same time structured around those moral virtues of Christianity and those kind of landmarks?
Oh, absolutely. So the church helps with that, but parents used to help with that. So if you wanted to marry someone, you had to ask the father. The father would vet you.
Yeah.
The other male members would vet you. Can I tell you what? I can tell in a young man if he's a scumbag or not. Most women can't, because it always comes across very nice and all that. But a couple of private conversations, I'm like, no, I don't like him at all. Doesn't mean you're always right, but you're taking your worldly knowledge as a man and you're using that to say, do I want my relative marrying this person? So we used to have that with family members, and a church would make introductions, and we would make sure that the person you were marrying, it wasn't based on initial physical attraction, which wears out. It's based on commonality, and you've got a better chance of a long marriage because of that. I mean, arranged marriages in this country last longer than non-arranged marriages.
It is an interesting point, and I think that's another thing that the loss of religion has affected this country.
Oh, absolutely. The loss of religion ripped the soul out of this country. And I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God, and even I can see the loss of religion ripped the soul.
Just carrying on with this gaslighting, I'm conscious we're heading into quite a lot of time here, but there's a few things that happened again this week. So Harhita Brella, the 24-year-old, went missing and then was discovered in the boot of a car. Now, this was gaslighting supreme, because it appeared, the way they were presenting it, it was like, we've got no idea what's happened to this woman. She's 24 years old. Then, of course, you look at the name and you look at the picture, you think, she's an Asian woman. Yes. So you immediately start to think, I think I know what's happened here. And were we right? We were. Indian, not been in the country a year. So we're importing people to murder now. So, again... It's our latest import. This is a problem that's down to immigration. We're importing people to murder. I tried to check out, was he British born or not? I can't find out. I don't think he was, because he headed straight back to India. I don't think he was a Muslim. I think he was an Indian. I'm not sure. Or was he a Muslim? No. I didn't say Muslim. So I don't think he's a Muslim. The wedding looked Hindu to me, because there's pictures of her at her wedding. So he's run off to India. That doesn't mean he was born in India. That doesn't mean he's got family there. He was. I don't know why, but here's another imported problem. And most domestic, from what I can see, most domestic violence murders immigration related. But the way it was presented by this stupid gaslighting media was like, oh, this woman's gone missing, we've got no idea what's happened, and the next thing, she's been found in the boot of a car, we don't know who's killed her. They didn't just say it's probably an honour killing by this woman's husband, who by the way is buggered off back to India. None of that was said, was it? Well, I'm surprised they didn't say it was a man, but just then don't tell you anything about the man. Because a lot of these crimes are related as misogyny, men are killing women. No, it's not men killing women. It's not English men, white British men killing women. It'll be an honour killing, it'll be an immigrant killing their wife. That a lot of them is down to that, but we don't say that because that's racist. But so we just blame men and use the term misogyny. Have you watched the latest Boots Christmas ad? Yes. And they've now employed for that ad this actress who commented on the coronation that the people on the balcony look very white or something. Terribly white. And the ad appears to be a criticism of Santa Claus as a white drunk. And black people fixing everything. Black women. Black women behind the scenes do everything, and if it wasn't for them, there would be no Santa. I'm just surprised Santa wasn't black. And before he goes out, he couldn't be black because he was a drunk. Well, he was a drunk. He's an overweight drunk, so you couldn't have a black overweight. Well, I thought he might be black, not drunk, but then he whites his face before he goes out. But some of these adverts, I mean, I've seen worse than that. What I don't like about that is her. I still haven't got over her saying the whole family's terribly white. And she's an immigrant as well. She wasn't born here. More gaslighting. I'm married to a white man. She's married to a white man? Not born here. She hates black people. White people, she's married to a white man, not born here. So when it comes to our culture and our whole family, people like that need to keep their mouth shut. Yes, I agree. We were talking earlier about hate crimes, and apparently one of the hate crimes recently is somebody that had dirty pants on a washing line. I don't know if you heard about this. So we reported it. We obviously had the issue with Alison Pearson, hate crime as well. But the Met Police have dismissed claims of it being a hate crime, where an imam at an East London mosque said during his sermon, curse the Jews, ruin their houses, destroy their homes. Now that's not a hate crime. Did you know that, Nick? Two-tier system again. Change the word Jew to anything else.
Change the word Jew to blacks.
Yeah.
Change it to gays.
Yes.
Read it out again and put the word gay in there.
Curse the gays, ruin their houses, destroy their homes. I'd be arrested.
You'd be arrested for that.
Yeah. Yeah. You would.
Anything like that, you just change the word to one of the privileged groups,
a good way of doing it.
And then say to yourself, would I be arrested for that? And the answer is yes.
Leicester, 2 more things on the gaslighting. Leicester University have now got segregated swimming lessons.
I saw that.
For black people, basically.
Yep.
So...
For black people who can't swim.
For black people...
That's what it's for, black people who can't swim.
So, if we'd done that in 1950s America with white people, we'd have, that... Actually, no, it would have been acceptable then, wouldn't it? Because that was a proper apartheid.
Yeah.
But now we're doing it in 2024 England. It's regarded as brave.
Yep. So if you took that sign and changed the word black or minority, whatever the word said, and change it to something else, change it to indigenous Brit. Yeah. So during these times,
only indigenous
Brits can use the pool because they need time together and they would have been an outcry.
It would have been on the front page of the Telegraph, yeah.
But so the far left keep screaming racist, but what they don't realise is they're the racists.
And my final one on the gaslighting, although we're going to go on to film reviews to finish, but nowadays, I remember 20 years ago, we've had a bit of wind and rain these last couple of days, haven't we?
We have.
They used to say it's going to be very windy and rainy. Now it's Storm Bert. So gone are the days, again, the stoic British upper lip, where it's going to be a bit windy tomorrow and there's going to be a bit of rain. We're now having to deal with Storm Bert. Well, what's that all about? Well, this fragility that we've introduced into society now. Again,
socialist state. You're not allowed to make decisions yourself. You can't take personal responsibility. The state looks after you. We look after you, like the Labour Party says, from the cradle to the grave.
Yes.
We will look after you. We will tell you what's good and what's bad and what the weather's like. And this is just pathetic. We had it in the summer when we have heat warnings.
Yeah.
There's a red heat warning today. The weather might get up to 27. 27! Fucking hell, I want it to be 32, not 27. And you're giving me a heat warning.
In Dubai, it gets up to 50.
Yeah, and you might want to make sure you're hydrated. They're telling us to drink water. It's like, Jesus Christ, you think we're idiots. And do you know what? They may be right. Because we just follow the instructions. The more we're told what to do, the more people do it. And then we get used to doing as we're told.
Yeah.
So when we have important things coming along, we're used to doing what the state tells us to do.
Yes.
So we just follow the narrative once again.
Yeah.
And then there's also an incentive for the weather people to do these things, as in, well, I'm going to have to increase my budget. I'm going to need more people. My department has to get bigger, and I'm going to raise my social status by being the person who informs you of the storms. There was an article last year that, I don't know if you know this, but the storms are named male, female alternately.
Yes.
So Bert now, it'll be Bertha next time.
Yes, yeah.
And stuff like that. And someone did a study on the storms, the names, and how many people are injured and die through the storms. And they came up with more people die and are injured during female storms. And that's because of misogyny. Because we named the storm female, more men and women don't pay attention to the storm because they think it's a female storm and it won't be as powerful as a man. It's like we paid someone to do this bloody study to come up with shit like that. So we're blaming weather deaths now on misogyny. And it's like, so if we're willing to give people money to do this research and do this stuff, well, people will take the money.
Yeah.
But all needs to stop. We need to give people personal responsibility.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, the weather should stay. There's going to be bad storms today.
Yeah, no,
that's fine.
They used to say it's going to be really windy and there's going to be a lot of rain. Be careful or whatever.
That's fine.
But now it's watch out. It's Storm Bert go inside and belt. And the number of headlines, watch out, this is happening, every day, lots of...
And we're going to close the schools.
We're going to close the schools, yeah, because of course the teachers love that, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we close the schools, because of the teachers.
We'll finish this episode on a film review. So, it's a series, I think, this actually. And it's called Cross, written by James Patterson, about a detective.
I don't know.
Dr. Cross. So, I saw the what's it called, the thumbnail.
Yeah.
It was a black guy, and looking, and I thought, will it be? Will it be? Won't it be? But I thought I'll give, because this happened to me before, and I watched films quite good. So I thought I'll watch it then, and I had to turn off after 5 minutes because, first of all, there were two highly affluent black couples at a race day, horse racing day. I've been to quite a few. I don't remember seeing many black affluent couples sitting at a little table doing that for a start, especially in America. That was the first bit. Then the next bit, he's in the police station, this black guy, and there's his boss, who of course is a black captain, is interrogating a white guy who happens to be an extreme white ring racist, basically. And then it's kind of, and I think, oh my, I was watching it, and then the police, the white guy who was with the police sergeant couldn't crack this white racist, so they then send in the black guy, Cross, who then comes up with him, who's got a PhD in this, and he manages to trap this guy into, and I thought, gee, do they think we are imbeciles? Who writes this stuff? Who writes this crap? And pushes it on us all the time, basically. And Cross originally, I think our viewers may correct us if we're wrong. I think he was a white detective in the original books by James Patterson.
This has been happening for centuries, if not millennia. So it's well known and well documented that the Greeks used to use theatre to promote the propaganda they wanted to promote at the time. So theatre then is basically TV now. So, and we're still using propaganda. Where we've opened our eyes to it, and to a certain extent, especially me as well, maybe for you, I probably see far too much of it when it might not even be there.
Yes.
And it ruins it now. So I'm always...
It may have got better after that, but I turned off at that point. I thought,
and that's what I do. So it's like, I can't... you're annoying me already.
Yeah.
A few years ago, when it wasn't always pushed in my face, got a black TV detective, not a problem. Got a gay there, not a problem. But they've spent years pushing it so much in our face that I see it straight away. I watch things now and I go, if he turns out to be gay, I'm turning off. If he turns out to be queer, if that baddie's black, I'm turning off. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of seeing these people placed into it. I believe there's a series coming up now about the London Blitz.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, and it's about a black boy.
Yes, of course.
And it's like,
there's so many of them.
Yeah, and it's like, that's just a really, really good example.
Yeah.
I
don't think people are watching this shit, Nick. I hope they're not watching it.
Well, hopefully it will be the ratings that decide. Yeah. We watched one the other day, didn't we, a couple months ago, about the black guy in America. His brother's been arrested, and a dodgy cop takes his money off him.
Yes.
Yes. And I started watching that and I thought, oh, here we go again.
Yes.
And
that was the one that was quite good.
And it turned out to be a good film.
To do with his
yeah. And even the black woman who we thought was going to be the goodie.
Correct.
Turned out she was the baddie, but I thought she was going to save everybody, but no, she was a baddie. And it's like, thanks for the twist. I enjoyed the twist on that.
These are the black people are the baddies, yeah.
Have you watched, there's one out at the moment called The Penguin.
I've watched 1 or 2 episodes of that.
I just need to watch the last one now.
Has that been okay?
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Okay, good.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just, it's different, it's gritty, it's dark. Yeah. There's no woke nonsense in it.
All right.
He's fighting, one of the baddies is a woman who takes over, but you can tell why she's taken over. She's mentally... It's a bloody good series, considering most series now are crap.
I'll watch it. I'm rewatching The Walking Dead at the moment because that is definitely not woke. So
I've never watched it.
Yeah, it's quite good. Good characters. But yeah, I was disappointed because I thought maybe we were getting over that now, because I've noticed there's more and more adverts now without black people. I don't know if you've noticed.
I don't watch TV. I don't watch adverts. I wouldn't know.
Actually, I don't know why I'm watching adverts, to tell the truth. But yeah, when I am watching something, I think there's less black people.
Yeah.
I think they're only in one. I think they're only 2 out of 3 now.
Right.
Whereas there used to be 3 out of 3. Now I think only 2 out of 3 have got black people in.
Talking about adverts, did you see the new Jaguar advertisement?
Yes, I was going to mention that, but I didn't have time.
Oh, right.
Yes, no, go on. Yes, go on.
I was just going to say, what a woke load of nonsense.
I know. And what makes it even worse is the chief exec of Jaguar has doubled down. And for our viewers who may not have seen the advert does not feature a single car.
No cars?
It's a bunch of various queer, lesbian, non-binary, black, yellow, red people
doing strange things like swinging a hammer.
Running around, swinging hammers, dressed in Teletubby outfits.
Yeah.
And they're saying, what they're saying, which is hilarious, don't, what is it? No, be original, don't copy or whatever. When that copies every single stupid woke advert there's been in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And what's happened is they've taken on board as their marketing guy a queer, or whatever queer means, bloke who's basically said, I'm going to revolution. I'm so thrilled to be working for, as a young gay man, I wanted to work for Jaguar and all that. And he's just basically, obviously, totally captured the entire team there. And the chief exec has come out and said we're all intolerant because everybody's saying this advert is shit, which it is. Everybody's saying, oh, you're so intolerant. And apparently his name checked Nigel Farage.
I have no idea.
So they're destroying a fantastic brand, basically.
I just think they're 3 years out of date.
Yeah.
I think this rebrand is a 3-year project, and they started just after Black Lives Matter. We need a new brand, and it's been working on it, and it's coming down the path. I don't think this is a new idea at all. I think this now is out of date. And it looks out of date.
Yeah, it looks dated. You're right. It looks really dated. Yeah. I think that's a good point, because of course car projects take a long time, don't they? So they probably said, I know, let's do this, and they haven't had the brains to say, hang on a minute. The
world's changed.
Yeah.
And if you think it's changed now, wait till January when Trump takes over. The world will there'll be no one buying Jaguars then. It's reminiscent of Bud Light.
Yes, Dylan Mulvaney.
And have you seen the recent Bud Light advert?
No.
It's some American redneck sat on a chair, and he's got some woke stuff going on next to him, and the director goes cut, and the redneck goes, I might be in the wrong place. I should be drinking Bud Light. And he goes, oh no, this isn't a Bud Light, this is for whatever. He goes, oh no, I'm in the wrong place. And then it flicks to another advertisement being shot, and there's this woke idiot sat in a bar full of rednecks, and he's going, and he's drinking that, going, oh, I like it in here now. And they're changing. It's all about rednecks and men, and they're taking the mickey out of the woke stuff.
Brilliant.
They've changed. They've changed.
And they have to. It's like you said. Eventually,
they almost went bankrupt. They lost billions.
Yes, they did. Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah.
But that was probably Pete Woke when that was happening.
Yes, it was Pete Woke.
But we've moved. But you're right. That's a really interesting point about Jaguar. I think you're right. They must have employed this guy.
And those things take years. The pipeline rebrands.
They've employed him. They said we need a rebrand. He said he probably just, you're right, BLM.
Yeah.
3 years have passed, and it's like it's a different world.
Yeah.
But I can't believe the chief exec doubled down. I mean, he needs to be sacked for that anyway, regardless.
Well, that's what he's thinking. He's thinking, I have to double down.
Yeah.
Because if I admit that's a mistake, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I double down. I still might get sacked.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be sacked. So that's
fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I was going to mention that, but yeah, it's been in the news, hasn't it? So anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Buckley, MBE. Thank you very much. Episode
59.
60 coming up. Thank you very much. Bye bye.